And yes, I'm going to start the sessions as well. Sure, let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, I can see. Yes.
Yeah. So you see this one, right? Untitled diagram dot
Yeah.
okay. So I've gone through this request deeply, okay,
Yeah.
2 3 times. And just before the session started, I have copied your PDF to draw.io because some of the pointers I have to mention here for your understanding in a better way.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Before I'll start, because I've already found there are a lot of areas that you can improve from a security expert, because the company need some of the security architect, right, to show them, to guide them what would be the security controls, right?
Yeah.
Because they are very much concerned about their IP, which is intellectual property, and there are
Yeah.
different countries they have to also protect their data, some kind of data localizations. That is something in industry standard name. So with this, Shah, I think before I start, you just try. Let's say if you'd be the security
Yeah.
expert, then what would be the controls you think that's missing in this architecture?
They have not shown the IAM. That is the first thing.
Hmm.
The IAM capabilities on premises, how they're going to authenticate, like things like MFA, they're going to do single sign-on. So those things are quite essential. And in regards to the connection between the on-premises and S3,
Hmm.
so they need to protect it via protocols like HTTPS, not use uh, insecure protocols like HTTP. So that is one aspect. Other aspect is since we are using S3, so how we are going to restrict the public access? If the public access is allowed, how going to uh, do the tools for the S3 bucket?
Hmm.
That those are the, I think, IAM. And also I found that the other thing is that how you're going to protect the DDoS, because it is
Yes.
being protected. Web traffic is protected via the WAF, but non-web traffic we have to protect, like things like Arbor, or use other DDoS mitigation tools from Azure or AWS.
Right.
So other these are things I found that they were missing. I think there is one more. There was one more thing which I found.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, yeah, the S3 is okay, but yeah. Or how you going to protect the Office 365?
Yes.
So we need to use we need for that we need require MFA and single sign-on. So are we going to have a kind of AD session or Azure AD? How we need to connect to the cloud? So how you going to so that AD synchronization on premises to cloud is missing.
Hmm. Hmm.
That particular aspect is missing, I think.
Um, you scored not bad. I mean, all of the points, all of the areas you covered pretty well. Yes, these are the missing. And so from me, so whenever you see this kind of stuff from my experience, always go layer by layer. Okay.
Okay.
So, just pick one area and try to understand and try to find, is there any gaps as much as possible. So let's start with that, what we mean. So
Okay.
let's say here you're right that Office 365 and then AWS S3, even they have some of the SaaS-based product, which is a local region. That's okay. But yes, they have not mentioned that any AD for even for Office 365 for even AWS or SaaS, for any enterprise customer, you need to have a proper identity broker service, right? Which is an Active Directory, right?
Hmm.
So that you have also mentioned, that's SSO, but you could explain more. But that is the first starting point, for this particular infrastructure, because complete AD authentication is missing, right? Which is identity broker. So yes, they can use some Azure native services, but since everything is on premises, because it's a hybrid infrastructure, right? You
Mm.
could say that this AD should be somewhere, in this, DMZ or MZ zone, right? Maybe this is AD, okay?
Mm.
And probably they could also have ADFS, okay? ADFS is another service which is for the federations, which is a
Yeah,
single,
Kerberos.
yeah, Kerberos. Is from Microsoft terminology, I'm saying, right? So these two component is missing here, and without that, okay, all of the external integrations are not secure, right? Even as Office 365, AWS, S3, or SaaS, right? You must mention this AD, which is very, very important. Okay. I'm putting it to rate. And ADFS is a part of the SSO, and then you can explain, right? Um, Now, you also mentioned there's of course this S3 shouldn't be public. Is a good point. So yes, their team or you should check that whether all of the buckets are really private and proper IAM policy. Okay, so I'm also drawing another link here. So for respective areas that you need to see a proper IAM policy. Okay, for this area S3, even for Office 365 also, right? If you have the AD, then Office 365 is a Microsoft product. You can easily, integrate Active Directory and who can access what sort of thing with this AD. Okay, but for AWS, the IAM policy is absolutely required, right? And for your SaaS, also they have, you should have AD integrations for SaaS as well, right? Or SSO, basically SSO would be good, right? So, so this part was missing, right, Shah? And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
So, apologies. I mean, are we going to use a different identity provider for federation, or are we going to use, that is also one other question, right? For these services like S3, O3, Office 365 or SaaS.
Okay. No, you should have only one Active Directory because AWS Office 365 SaaS, they pretty much, are compatible with AD because Microsoft AD is a very
Mm.
renowned identity broker, right? For any SaaS technology, they should support AD. Office 365, of course, they will support because there's a Microsoft own product, and AWS also support, Microsoft Active Directory. Okay. So you should have only one common Active Directory and Federation service, those all for the external integrations.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, you don't need to have so many identity broker because at the end of the day, from realistic perspective, your operational team or your engineering team should be also should not take that much of headache, right, all the time. But if you only have the one Active Directory identity, it will be very easier for manage them as well, right? So that is something also you need to aware of. Okay, now if I come to this IPS, I cannot see any high availability though, but for your interview purpose, probably high availability is not their concern, but also you can quickly mention during the explanation process that I cannot see if one firewall that they have, which is network boundary firewall, right, perimeter firewall, is there another IPS there? If it fails, then what happened? So you could just mention this high availability part here, like for your firewall, which is this one, right? This portion was missing.
Mm.
um but you mentioned very well that in the web, so you don't, so I cannot see any DDoS protections there, right? Is very, very important, right? So
Mm.
usually WAF can be integrated with the DDoS, right? So that you can mention that, okay, even for your intranet, the local guy, or maybe the internet person, your internal employees, etc. Hello. मैंने एक सेशन, हाँ, हाँ एक मिनट थोड़ा बाद में फोन करना, मैं थोड़ा सेशन ट्रेनिंग कर रहा हूँ. Okay. I apologize, Sasha. Okay, so I got a call.
No worries.
So in the WAF, this DDoS should be there, right? All of the things should be in the DDoS protected, right? So this portion was also missing. Now in this particular firewall IPS, I don't see what are the whether it's properly configured or not. We should ask them that, okay, I assume that in this IPS the proper security controls there in terms of proper ports, proper different all of the other security should be taken care of here in the IPS, right? And the DDoS is always there, so you have to put the DDoS here with the WAF. Now in the VPN terminations for remote user as well, even for the VPN, this is what I assume that this is a kind of SSL VPN. So it's not clearly mentioned for me whether it's a IPsec VPN or whether it's a kind of SSL VPN. This is very important. So you ask this question counter that you mentioned VPN termination for remote user, but what exactly what sort of VPN are they using, right? So these questions you should ask. For me, I think their firewall is capable for VPN aggregations or aggregator as well. So what happened that these days you can configure the VPN in the firewall as well, right? But that is the point, like you should ask that, how your end users or local user, they will connect to this VPN, right? Even they will connect to the VPN, then what about the Bastion host? Because you didn't mention anything, or they have not mentioned anything in the Bastion host, because though your users will connect through the VPN, you need to have somewhere like a Bastion host in this DMZ section, so that they will connect to the Bastion host and they can also connect to the proper applications only applicable for admin, maybe DBA or sys admin, or somebody else who will manage their infrastructure. Till now clear? I mean, whatever we are saying is also important, right?
Have multiple DMZs here because there is only one DMZ, which is
Hmm.
they have just created. So one, there is usually one different for Bastion host,
Hmm.
one for other environments. So here,
Hmm.
everything is in one DMZ. Usually, multiple DMZs will be there in the real-time production environment.
Right. I think they have mentioned the VLAN somewhere. Yeah, I mean, in the VLAN, you can create so they have mentioned the VLAN separated by type. So I assume that their application, they have got different VLANs, their infrastructure, they have got the different VLANs. And that's how they maybe segregated their application, other infrastructure resources, right? But anyway, I mean, yeah, the point is well taken. You can also ask them, okay? And now here the DDoS part is clear, and yes, IAM, the proper policy is very much important. Um, the policy actually you can define in the Active Directory itself, right? In the Active Directory, you have to create group objects, proper policies, right? Proper GPO, right here also. But if you go to AWS, they call IAM policy. That's their own terms and terms. They call it IAM. But yes, you should mention that if you have different users, somebody from HR, somebody from maybe different sales. So you should have in this Active Directory, you should have proper GPO or group policy object or proper permission access control, right? Very, very important these days. Okay, access control, and somebody call a list grand least privilege. Okay, these days, these are the terms you should use during the interview. Grand least privilege. Right. Okay, for me, it is very important because when we take interview, we keen to hear these words from security teams, interview. So this is there, okay, and okay, for the end user devices, okay, so they have mentioned all of the end user devices, but what about the antivirus? The local
EDR
malware.
solution.
Hmm?
EDR, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Endpoint security.
Endpoint security, or these days HIPS people would like to comment, which is host intrusive person system, or yeah, you can mention, let's say, malware or an AV. You understand? Yes, rightly correct. So this is, you can also mention that for your end servers. Okay, another thing that for, if they are using some kind of servers, then definitely they need to have a proper security patching, which is very very important, right? Without security patching these days, there are a lot of incident for the ransomware, right?
Mm.
Security patching is very very important for CISOs or security expert, or architect, to measure their security patches, whether it's
Apologies, just to ask one thing.
Mhm.
So the authentication is happening within the on-premises, or even the remote users, they're coming to on-premise,
Hmm.
they're getting authenticated, and then they're going to Office 365. Is it, how is the traffic flow here?
Okay.
Because
No, good question. So Office 365, I know what happened. There's a concept called federations, right? Federations means, let's say, even you are using S3, even you are using Office 365, your end user authentication actually are happening here and the on-premises, and then from here it will go to AWS S3. I'll try to
mm,
show you architecture if it's available, right? So if I just share AWS integration with AD. Uh, so let's say it's an on-premise Active Directory, right? You have to define your different groups users, right? The same way we are defining. There's a VPN connection between there's basically the trust relationship, right? So at right hand side, there's AWS. So in AWS, yes, you should have a Microsoft AD directory, which will kind of trust with your on-premise AD. So what is happening that, all of the authentications, all of the users, and you assign the proper permissions here at your on-premises. But whenever, let's say, me or John will try to connect AWS databases or S3, right? So my request will come here and then it will go there. Then AWS will get to know that, okay, are you a trusted person or not? Okay, so these kind of authentications flow will be there. Then finally you can have a S3 full access. There's a kind of security tokens will get generated, temporary security tokens, etc. STS, right?
okay.
It will be very good architecture for you to understand. So let's say this is Office 365. Okay, this is the Active Directory and this is AWS. So you see that that's my corporate data center where my actual Active Directory is there, right? In the Office 365, there's Azure AD, and then you can have my AWS managed Microsoft AD. So now you can actually connecting to, see, there's a third party external SaaS based product as well, like SharePoint and all of the stuff. You can actually authenticate to the central, this kind of central architecture. Okay.
Okay, so no, the AD is on premises. Do we need to create one more AD account on S3, AWS S3, and
Yes.
Azure
Yes.
as well?
Yes. Yes. You need to have, it's a kind of connector, right? You should have the Microsoft AD connector, or another AD directory for this trust relationship, because this is a trust, right? So all of the GPU, all of the objects, it should be replicated here, so that your
Mm,
S3 will understand, okay, John or Bob or Dan, something there, right? Similarly,
mm,
Azure AD, you can have a Azure AD as well. Okay, so you can see there's ADFS at in Azure ADF, Federation Service or AD sync. Since it's an AWS or centric architecture, you can see a lot of AWS icons, but yeah, that's how it works.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you need to set up a AD account on AWS and
Yes.
Azure.
Yes. Yes.
Hmm. Okay, got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So now, so this portion is missing a security patch, AV. Okay. So they have already SOC and SIEM. That's great. So there are a lot of SIEM. Maybe they are using some of the very, enterprise level SIEM or SOC. That part is okay. And then I would like to bring another interesting thing here. Just give me a second. Okay, if I open, two minutes, huh?
Yeah.
So that's a very interesting, chart that I have for any security professional. They will quickly, refer. For each and every area, you can see there are some of the security controls. Let's say if they have the database, then definitely you have to say that your encryption should be there or not. So they are using a lot of applications, right? They have mentioned.
Hmm.
So you have to say that, okay, is that particular applications are properly secured in terms of encryptions, right? Which is called data at rest. Okay, if I go back here, so I can create another rectangle, and we may say that what about applications related authentications?
Hmm.
That means you know that each and every application they should have their own authentication mechanism, right? Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, okay, authentic maybe spelling mistake. So authentication. So you should ask, okay, how your application authentication is being done? Is this through Active Directory or you have your own application's logic or
Hmm.
authentication mechanism, right? They definitely they will answer, okay, AD or non-AD. If there's a non-AD, then you have to say, okay, even in the application end, your application team properly ensure that all of the this one proper access control mechanism, right? Otherwise
Hmm.
it will be not good. Even another square, for even your application server, you should tell them the data at rest, right? And you already mentioned data in transit, which is SSL, right? Data at rest, and SSL, which is data in transit, must be established, right?
Hmm.
Right. Now let's get into a little deeper. Okay. So let's say you should ask, okay, I think that your applications team, they are developing your applications. So make sure your application team, they are using a proper libraries, because what happened that it is not only your responsibility from infrastructure perspective. Sometimes what happened if your application is not properly, let's say they are using our old libraries, right?
Third-party libraries, yeah. Open
Old,
or vendor
old
based.
libraries. Don't know, it's a spelling wise what is happening. Okay, so old libraries, and then let's say they are using some vulnerable, okay, some of the vulnerable maybe dependencies, SDKs, etc. So you need to check with their application team that, okay, this is very important. Otherwise, your application also be buggy. Uh,
Hmm.
that portion is also part of your security architect role, right?
Hmm.
So what we have discussed, data at rest, which is encryptions, applications related authentication, then libraries, etc. Now, if I go back again to that particular image, so encryptions, even for the database, is very important. So again, if I go back, so you should ask, okay, I think that you have also using databases. So for database, make sure that is properly encrypted. Maybe there's a different encryption like TDE or database own authentications, right? So even if you say the database authentication, many database also authenticate to AD, okay? Active Directory authentication like Microsoft SQL and some Oracle, right? If they are saying no, we don't have any AD authentication, then you have to tell, okay, it is good, better that you have to tell, you have to integrate AD. Otherwise, show me your, or maybe, show me your database authentications, how people are using, right? This is very
Mm.
important these days, Shah. Okay, database TDE. So now this portion is clear. Now network security. So we have discussed firewall, IPS. They have already there, but high availability. It is not very clear to me at least. You should ask that the high availability things that already discussed. Then proxy VPN. So they have the VPN, but this also is not clear. I told you that how
Mm.
to, what sort of VPN, how the aggregations happening and all stuff, and hyper, this bastion host we discussed. Now the thing is that hypervisor level for security as well, right? So we don't know their on premises might be running on VMware or maybe Microsoft Hyper-V. So you should also tell that, okay, what about the hypervisor level firewall? Do you have any kind of, VMware level, firewall enabled or not, right? This is very important.
Mm.
So if I just go there and just create a square, I mean rectangle is a hypervisor level. Security is very important throughout. Ooh, security. Right?
Yeah.
Um, So that's how we also do an audit for different company, right? So that it will be very handy. So VAPT, right? Super important these days, right? So you have to propose that. What about your VAPT? VAPT activity. It is a quarterly or monthly, or how do you do that? So it is another layer. Sorry, overall that across your infrastructure, that VAPT, which is vulnerable assessment and penetration testing, right? So
Mm.
somebody call it white hat hacking, something like that. So you have to say VAPT. In India, there's a author, organization called SART. Okay, but in UK, I don't know what is the authority, but SART is very renowned in response team we have there. So anyways, the VAPT, it is important. Okay, you should ask that, okay, for enter infrastructure, your applications level, your infrastructure level, we have to conduct VAPT, which is not missing here. Right?
Mm.
This is again very important. All right. Now the SIEM, it's okay, but you can tell them a little value addition, Shah. See,
Yeah.
whatever my experience, that SIEM is okay. Everybody talks about SIEM, but if you keep on storing SIEM logs, it will be also expensive to store all of the logs, right? And
Mm.
incur a lot of cost. So you have to say that there's a value addition, not from security straight for, I mean, it is not related to security truly, but what you can say that, okay, you can archive your SIEM logs to some archival storage, maybe AWS Glacier or somebody in your infrastructure, right? So they will happy that, okay, you are a security guy, but you also have a knowledge that to little cost save options, right? Ideas. um, Whatever I'm saying is from my experience, what we
Yeah.
I but that's your perspectives, from your perspective also you can add additionally whatever you think. चला गया.
You could use the, I think there is a
Uh-huh.
cloud, right? What do you call
Which one?
remember, uh, there is a, what do you call, some kind of Sentinel cloud or cloud.
Sentinel is Azure own.
Azure, right? Yeah, yeah.
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 So
We
for
could
so
utilize
Azure,
that also. Yeah.
if Azure Sentinel is support hybrid, then of
Mm,
course yes, right? But they are not asking what's the product. They are saying it is
mm,
already implemented. So
mm.
you really don't need to propose everything to be changed in the first
Cool.
discussion, right? You
Mm-hmm.
understand? Because let's say I'm running a company, I've already implemented, and I mean, I'm going to hire you. I really don't want you to change everything because I already invested, right? So you don't know people's mind. So you're saying that, okay, now you are using SOC SIEM. I'm not going to propose anything to change right now because you've already invested. But for me, I think you also can explore some of the cloud native, SOC solutions, the SIEM solution, which is Sentinel, which is a capability for your hybrid SIEM as well.
Mm, mm-hmm.
That's how you should, at your experience, at your age. I mean, of course, you are not fresher, right? So this is something you have to very
Yeah, yeah.
will tackle because they are all CXOs person.
Mm.
All right, so okay, what else? What's my image? So there are a lot of images. Um, this one maybe. Hold on, I lost my images. Okay. So VAPT we covered, SIEM we spoke a little bit, about that. Anti-spam, antivirus already spoke about, okay. Very important, like, when we discuss VAPT, right? In the VAPT, typically they will ask that, okay, we'll do VAPT, but do you recommend any kind of standard that we have to follow? Then probably you can say, yeah, you can think of OWASP model, okay? OWASP,
OWASP 12,
WASP.
or the OWASP 10, top 10, right? Yeah.
Top 10, yeah. So right? So this something, you also can
Mm.
mention. Email encryptions, you cannot talk much about that because Office 365 is a great product, from Microsoft, at least from the email messaging service. So it is already there. Okay, it's a SaaS-based product, encryption, bagera, everything is there. Okay, you really don't need
But
to.
that is on cloud, right? But are they encrypting? The encryption should be between the on-premise and the cloud, right?
On premises of cloud, anyways, you have a proper, because when you do these federations, etc., it is already there's a encryption setting you have to do. I mean, you are
Mm.
not going to see what happened that if you want to access any Office 365, there's a two option. One is Microsoft Office client, okay, and then you can do it from OA, which is Office access, web access, right? So these days, nobody talks about the email security in terms of whether they are using the Office, Microsoft Office 365. It's out of the box, it's secure. Okay.
Mhm.
So I think it's already there, secure.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So now strong authentication. So this strong authentication comes along with your IAM policy, Active Directory, group policy object that we already spoke about, right? This is something identity fraud management is very, very important these days, right? You can also say that, okay, you can implement some sort of tool so that some of the conditional, what should I say, conditional rule. That means in Azure, you can have, let's say, if I am John, okay, and I would like to access, certain application from Europe, right? But immediately I cannot access from US because I'm a human being. I cannot fly within 5 minutes to US. If these kind of things are coming, then definitely suspicious, right? So that's kind of conditions they may apply. Another thing it reminds me before I forget, their requirement, they have mentioned that they are very much concerned about the data localizations, right? They are, because there's a UK and there are GDPR and all stuff there. Please mention that your WAF, at your WAF, you have to set a proper rule. Okay, I can go to this one. So in the WAF, you need to mention that properly geo restrictions rule. must be there, so that if I am from a different country and I'm not allowed to use these applications from the data localization of some kind of local policies, right? Another thing,
Mhm.
at the databases, there's a very important, these days are very important. I can see there's a lot of PII protections, right? Personal information protections, and that can be achieved by database encryption as well. Okay, so you can also propose this solution that, if I have a proper if you have the PII data, personal information, that it must be protected. Some of the encryption maybe AES 265, or there are a lot of, right, maybe base 64. So by which you can do all of this, because it's very important, at least for your use case is very important. All right.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, now go back to this image. So this is something applications level security, because very important that OAF is the applications level layer 7 protections, right? So it would help you for any kind of application like cross-site scripting or some kind of SQL injections, those kind of protections.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Endpoint security we discussed, like they have maybe endpoint AV, but yeah, there's another thing. These days people talk about their own encryptions. So as I said, data, so see, very important, probably they should have some kind of hardware base, you know key management.
HSM. Yeah.
HMS very important. Many customer, they tend to use this HMS, where all of the encryptions or secrets they can store here, because it's a hybrid, right? If you cloud, then I can simply say, okay, AWS or Azure, they have their own KMS or HMS. But since it's a kind of hybrid, because SaaS will not allow to use this kind of HMS, right? Because it's a kind of SaaS-based product, right? AWS S3, for AWS S3, you can use their own KMS, which is called AWS centric name, AWS KMS.
AWS key management something, right?
Right. Okay. But ultimately, if you position this key management, they will impress, because that's the trends. That's how the trends going on right now. I can see in a lot of RFP, because I handle a lot of tenders, RFP, the government customer, PSU bank.
Mhm.
They really would like to see. And even for your WAF control, Shah, there's a lot of URL whitelisting and all stuff, right? Make sure that this is also, you have to use, you have to mention that in your WAF proper rules, right? URL whitelist, right?
Mhm.
Whitelist and protections. This is very important. Or else, okay, let me just think about that. This is one which is database is done, and also applications control. Hmm, I think, okay, another couple of things, because security is very vast, right? Sometimes I just to think, is
Mhm.
there
Yeah.
any um, hold on, please. Okay. Now, here, DLP, it is important, which is DLP is data leakage prevention system, right? So typically you have to apply the DLM. There's a tool for your at this here end users devices, right? End user devices, you can implement this.
RBAC, we can do RBAC role-based access control.
Yeah,
Uh,
RBAC is
Okay.
definitely should be, yes, RBAC it is there. So here only. And these end user devices, you also, mentioned that a proper antivirus should be there, right? RBAC you mentioned, and also these DLP protections, data leakage prevention systems, right? So that it would be good for you. And because let's say, and let's say some of the bring your own device, or some of the
PAM solution, yeah. Okay.
policy, yeah, right, for your end user devices. Okay. And I think that's pretty much of now as of at this stage.
We can have, there is no PAM solution, and maybe we can put a box for the PAM as well,
PAM is, yeah,
like
PAM.
CyberArk, or it could be
Privilege access, PAM, yeah, privilege.
yeah,
Yeah. This is important. Yeah,
access management. Yeah, CyberArk. We could have CyberArk, or we could have I think PIM, Azure
Yeah,
PIM.
yeah, as your
That is
PIM,
on.
PIM or PAM, basically. Yeah, PIM or
Yeah.
PIM and PAM there. Okay. And I think, yes, audit is very important. So you say that, okay, time to time, that particular infrastructure should be, done by some of the audit, proper audit
Third
mechanism.
party.
I mean, it's a kind of, audit, right? S3, storage, storage, everything. So yeah, anything is coming to your mind, because I think that is
Yeah, it
something.
should be okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think yes.
I think you can you send me this apologies. Can you send me this diagram and also your own diagram if you don't mind,
Yeah,
please?
absolutely, I can. I'm just trying to see. Okay, I can. Okay. This is the little smaller. I think 75. You understand? You can read. So what
Right.
I'm doing, I'm taking a screenshot right now. I'm
Okay.
putting in the WhatsApp. Okay, before I forget. Okay, is that okay if I
Yeah,
put
yeah.
WhatsApp?
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to share the WhatsApp. I've stopped my sharing screen. And now desktop. This is the first I've shared, and then also I'll share the circle one, right? You are saying, okay, circle one. No, not this one.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'm going to,
And the one,
yeah,
yeah, your own, that one,
yes, I'm going to share
the
that.
reference one. Thank you.
Yeah, just hold on. I'm also sharing it. So. Yes. Okay. Probably I've got that one also.
Okay.
Thanks, sir. I think
Thank you.
all
Much
the best
appreciated.
for your,
Thanks a lot.
all the best for your interview, and
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Much appreciated.
take care. Bye.
Bye bye.